Hi, welcome back to another video. Today's video is going to be maybe an unpopular opinion and maybe somewhat controversial, but it's something that I really want to talk about. It's something that's been on my mind for quite a few months actually, and now just some stuff has happened on social media that made me kind of want to talk about it even more. Basically, you can see from the title of the video that today I want to talk about why I don't specifically advocate for a cure for fibromyalgia. I just want to make a little disclaimer first. I don't not want fibromyalgia to be cured. I want it to be cured, of course. I want every single illness to be cured. Please watch the video until the end in order to make a judgment or to make an opinion about what I am saying. I do have pretty solid points, I think. And if you disagree, obviously you are free to, and let me know if you disagree and why. But please don't be rude to each other. Please don't be rude to me. Everybody's entitled to their opinion, especially if they're the ones that are going through that problem. Okay, on with the video. This is something that I started thinking about right at the beginning of my diagnosis, actually. From the moment that one doctor told me that he thought I had fibromyalgia, I started researching it, obviously. I had never heard of it. I found out that it didn't have a cure, and he said something which was really unhelpful, and that kind of plays with this whole theme, which was, you're gonna feel much better in 10 years from now. And that made me so angry. Even if that's true, and I don't know because I can't see the future, but even if that's true, I don't care what comes 10 years from now if today I can't walk. Like, now I want it to be better. I don't want it to wait 10 years. So right at the beginning, when I was diagnosed, I started looking into a community. I started trying to find more people with fibromyalgia so that I had some idea of what to expect and what it was like and how to fight it myself. I make a joke about my illness, or I mention it somehow, and people are just like, oh, I pray that you're gonna have a cure soon. This awful condition, we just need a cure. It is important to be angry, and it is important to put out our negative feelings about any situation and to handle them in a healthy way. But I don't feel like crying about there not being a cure constantly is productive or constructive, or it doesn't really serve any purpose. And a lot of times I see that people are like, yeah, but if you just had a cure, it'd be so much easier because then we don't have to make the world accessible to you. Which, I mean, technically it's true, but I mean, if we want that, the scientists really need to up their game, because they need to find cures for everything real soon so that these people don't have to make ramps and don't have to put elevators into buildings. Then there was this whole thing where the head of the Portuguese Fibromyalgia Association just closed it down because she's been cured. She came out to the newspaper saying that she's been cured and what medication she's taking for her cure. The pharmaceutical company came out and was like, okay, can you not mention our name anymore, because this hasn't been approved for fibromyalgia. There's no studies, there's no scientific evidence that it works, so you need to not talk about this anymore, especially as the head of an association. And so she decided that the next move was to shut down the association and created her own Facebook group where she now can talk about this drug openly. First of all, if you're still taking medication to be cured, you're not cured. Second of all, why is the person who is supposed to be an ally to us just gone off and been like, oh, okay, you know what, I don't need this anymore, bye. What about all the people who haven't found something? They still need their rights to be spoken for. Anyway, so that happened, and that really, really grinds my gears. I don't know if you could tell. And then I was watching this video on MTV something, I don't know. On one episode, which is the one I watched, she had a disabled person come in and talk about the 5 things that we hate the most about being asked, you know? One of them was the whole cure thing, how not everybody wants a cure for their illness. She was just talking about it, how it's kind of insensitive for people who are healthy and able-bodied to constantly tell us that, you know, it's so sad that we don't have a cure, when that's kind of not the point. The problem isn't that we don't have a cure. The problem is that without it, we're not able to participate and to partake in society. That's the problem. I saw so many people hating on that, and people saying, like, if you are disabled and you have an illness, and you don't want to be cured, then you don't deserve accessibility, and you don't deserve to complain, and you don't deserve to request that the world is made accessible to you, because it's just like an annoyance to all the able-bodied people. Well, I really hope that nothing ever happens to you and you never get an illness and you never like have an accident where, you know, you are in a wheelchair for a while. I really hope nothing ever happens to these people. People really think that finding a cure for all of these disabilities and conditions is a lot more important than just making the world accessible to us. I decided that I wanted to pitch in and I wanted to explain why I don't advocate for a cure. That does not mean I don't want a cure. That does not mean that if a cure for fibromyalgia existed, I wouldn't want to take it. But that is not happening anytime soon. I feel like it is counterproductive and kind of irresponsible to constantly only preach for a cure. I'm not saying I don't want to be cured, and I'm not saying they shouldn't find one. Yes, they should. But it's really not that simple. People think that it's a matter of you have a cold and you go to the doctor and get some antibiotics and you're cured from that cold. But chronic illness is not like that. It's complex. It affects a lot of our body. It can sometimes and really often generate other illnesses and other conditions. It makes us more fragile. It makes us more sensitive. It just makes our bodies weaker. And that does not mean that we are weak, and that does not mean that we are not capable of doing and of existing and of having a chance at life. We are at a point with fibromyalgia where they barely know what it is. There's some studies that point towards, you know, it being a neurological condition, possibly autoimmune, maybe not autoimmune. And most studies show that it's something to do with our brains not working properly. But they don't know what causes it, what it even is specifically. They haven't isolated a gene to find out if it's genetic. They haven't figured it out. Honestly, I even have a theory that it might not be just one condition. What we think of fibromyalgia might be like kind of like EDS, where there's different types of that condition, which are different to each other, but under the same umbrella. And fibromyalgia might have the same thing. It might be different things because some things work for some people and some things work for other people, and some people don't find anything that works for them. So we don't know what it is. We don't know how to diagnose it really, because there isn't like a conclusive diagnosis. Whereas with other conditions, you get a blood test or an x-ray or an MRI and you have like conclusive evidence, you know, black on white. But for fibromyalgia, there isn't one because they don't know what they're looking for. Our diagnosis method is excluding every other illness that has similar symptoms and kind of feeling the pressure points that are sensitive, which they are. And if they are, then you have fibromyalgia, and they don't know enough about it for it to be like a super conclusive diagnosis. It's just what we have right now. If they don't know what it is, and if they don't even really know how to diagnose it properly, then maybe preaching for a cure is too soon. A lot of illnesses are chronic and you can live with them and you can have a perfectly healthy life and still have that illness. Diabetes doesn't have a cure. You can get it under control and you can regulate it and you can have a healthy life with quality. There is no such thing yet for us with fibromyalgia and for a lot of other conditions. We need to find that before we find the cure. And I don't know why we focus so much on cures when there's so many conditions that don't have cures and we just figured out how to live with them in a totally peaceful way. If we could figure out how to diagnose it properly and what it actually is so that we can control the symptoms better, that would be great. And I feel like that is maybe more important right now than a cure. It just seems to me like wishful thinking to be thinking about something so far away where we could be making our lives better now. There is so much that can still be done that would make our lives so much better and so much easier and would just give us so much more quality of life that doesn't involve a cure. The problem with the small amount of research that is being done into fibromyalgia is that our illness isn't taken seriously enough for more funding to be put into it. So I feel like the best thing that we can do, since we maybe can't afford to fund research and we can't find a cure ourselves, then maybe the best thing that we can do is talk about it, and it's inform and educate people on the condition and explain to them and make them understand how severe it is. You know when you're a kid and you're sad or you fell and you scraped your knee and what you really want is like a magic solution to your problem. You want that pain to go away straight away. There is no magic solution for problems, and I feel like people crying about there not being a cure I know it's tough because I'm also on the same boat as you. I also don't have a cure. I feel like waiting for a magic solution and not doing anything in the meanwhile to fix our situation is really irresponsible and really counterproductive. And 10 years from now, you know, when we're all gonna feel better, according to my doctor, is 10 years from now. And until 10 years from now, I'd still like to live life, and I'd still like to be happy and be able to partake and be able to work and to contribute to society. I'd still like to have kids and raise a family and move house and not have to plan everything in my life with the illness in mind. I would really like to do that. But right now, that is not my reality, and I am working to change that, and we gotta work towards it. And the first step towards finding a cure isn't a cure straight away. It's all of this grinding work, all of this raising awareness, talking about it until somebody listens, until somebody pays attention, and somebody, you know, who has power to change these things helps us out. Yeah, but just in conclusion, like I said, these things take a long time, and it might be a few generations until we can find a cure, and we shouldn't have to sit in pain and wait until they do to have a life, because time is always ticking by, you know? I don't think we should be cast aside until somebody can figure out how to cure us so that we can, you know, be healthy again and rejoin society. I feel like society should make space and make room for us regardless of how healthy we are, because spoiler alert, our health doesn't improve with age. And spoiler alert, when you're old, you normally need mobility aids because your body gets weaker. Even if you're not disabled and you don't have any health issues, you might do in the future, because it does kind of like knock on everybody's door eventually. So I feel like it's just really silly for people not to agree with disabled rights. That's all I have to say about that. So let me know what your opinion is on this matter. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave it a like and a comment, and consider subscribing to my channel. It would really mean a lot to me, and it would help me keep raising awareness for fibromyalgia. Also, if you would like to keep contributing to the channel, you can join on Patreon, where you get early access and exclusive videos, and you would be helping me create better quality content and keep creating and keep doing this. So if you did that, I would be so appreciated. Thank you so much. Okay, I'm gonna shut up and go. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!